Bears Nation, you ever get that uneasy churn in your gut? Like the city's heartbeat just skipped, and everyone's trying to pretend they didn't feel it. That's the air in Chicago right now. Thick, electric, the kind you can almost taste. In the wind swirling off Lake Michigan. You can see it in the way the beat reporters linger a little longer after practice. In the way Ben Johnson keeps his cards close when the cameras are rolling. In the way Caleb Williams walks onto the field. With that sharp, deliberate focus, as if every rep is carrying more weight than it did a month ago. Something's shifting. And you've got to ask yourself, is this the moment we've been waiting for, or the moment we've been fearing? Because for all the talk of year two growth, of new offensive firepower, of finally breaking free from the ghosts of 5-12, and a 10-game losing skid, there's a hum underneath it all that feels different. We've seen this city's heart broken before, trading away fan favorites, cutting ties with untouchable names, resetting timelines we thought were solid. We've also seen Ryan Poles pull moves nobody predicted, the kind of plays that felt reckless at first, but made you lean in and wonder if there's a bigger board in front of him that none of us can see. And right now, it feels like he's reaching for a piece so big, so disruptive, it could tear our timeline in two. You start connecting dots. Caleb getting sacked 68 times in his rookie year. The O-line looking like Swiss cheese by midseason. A defense that cracked when we needed it most. You remember the weight of watching our franchise QB scramble for his life week after week. You remember the sting of empty Decembers and the hollow echo of maybe next year in a city that deserves so much better. And yet, you also remember the flashes. Those jaw-drop throws Ben Johnson talked about, the ones that made even opponents shake their heads. You remember the promise that's there, raw and waiting. But what if the plan to unlock that promise doesn't just involve coaching and reps? What if it involves a seismic roster shake that forces the rest of the NFC to look at Chicago differently? Not as a rebuilding project, but as a predator. Word around the league is that there's a certain player, a disruptor with a track record of changing games on his own, who could be in play. You don't drop a name like his lightly, because once it's out there, it changes everything. For him, for us, for every team that has to line up across from him. And the whispers? They're saying Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, that Trey Hendrickson. The kind of edge threat who could take all that defensive inconsistency and torch it to the ground, leaving behind something fierce, something dangerous. The idea of him in navy and orange opposite our front seven is enough to make Soldier Field shake before a snap is even taken. But if this is real, if Poles is actually in on it, it's not just a signing, it's a declaration. The kind that makes you wonder, if this domino falls, what's the next one? And how far is Chicago willing to go before the rest of the NFL realizes the Bears aren't just rebuilding anymore? If you believe the Bears are finally waking up, that this city's about to trade rebuild for reckoning, hit that like, and let's finish what we started, because if there's even a shred of truth to the whispers about Trey Hendrickson, in navy and orange, we're talking about a seismic shift in how Chicago plays football and how the NFL talks about the Bears. Think about what this defense has looked like in recent years, flashes of grit, moments of dominance, but too often, bending until it breaks. We've been living on potential, on what-ifs, on the idea that maybe the next draft class or the next coaching hire would flip the switch. But Hendrickson isn't a maybe. He's production in human form. 17.5 sacks in each of the last 2 seasons. That's not a lucky bounce or a good month. That's sustained terror off the edge, week in, week out. Imagine that opposite Montez Sweat. Quarterbacks wouldn't just be pressured. They'd be hunted, with nowhere to run. And here's the thing. A move like this doesn't just upgrade a position group. It sends a message to the entire roster. It tells Caleb Williams that the front office is serious about giving him a defense that can get him the ball back. It tells the offensive line that they won't have to protect for 40 minutes a game because our defense is bleeding points. It tells every Bears fan who sat through decades of heartbreak that the team is ready to swing big and swing now. You think Soldier Field gets loud in September? Picture it in December, NFC North on the line, with Hendrickson and Sweat pinning their ears back while the cold air cuts through the stadium like a blade. Picture the fear in the eyes of Jordan Love, J.J. McCarthy, Jared Goff when they realize the pocket is collapsing before the play even unfolds. This city hasn't had a pass rush like that since the glory days when Ehrlicher, Briggs, and Peppers were patrolling the field. And even then, you didn't have two elite edge threats at the same time. But this wouldn't just be about nostalgia. This would be about identity. Chicago Bears football has always been about defense. Monsters of the Midway, tough in the trenches, relentless from whistle to whistle. The last decade, we've drifted from that, chasing offensive fixes while the D lost its teeth. Hendrickson brings those teeth back. He's not just a sack artist. He's a tone setter, a guy who plays with a chip on his shoulder, who refuses to let quarterbacks get comfortable. And when you add that to the leadership and motor of Sweat, you've got a defensive front that can dictate games. Think about what that does for the rest of the unit. Linebackers playing downhill, corners jumping routes because they know the QB has to get rid of the ball fast. Safeties crashing the box without fear of getting beat deep. This isn't just a stat line. Improvement. It's a psychological one. Opponents come in already beaten, already bracing for the storm. And for us fans, it's the thing we've been craving, not just hope, but expectation. We'd walk into every Sunday believing we can win, not just praying for a miracle. And look, there's risk here. You give up draft capital. You pay a big contract. You put pressure on a young team to deliver now. But if you've lived through 3-14, through watching Aaron Rodgers own this division for years, through seeing other teams make the aggressive moves we wouldn't, you know this is the kind of gamble you have to take if you want to change the story. The window in the NFL doesn't stay open forever. And with Caleb on his rookie deal, with Ben Johnson crafting an offense that can put points on the board, and with a defense that's one piece away from dominance, you've got to ask yourself, if not now, when? We've been patient. We've waited. We've told ourselves the future was coming. Maybe, just maybe, that future is knocking on the door right now. So I'll leave you with this. If Hendrickson steps onto that field in a Bears uniform, if he lines up opposite Sweat on opening day, if the crowd rises to its feet as the snap counts down, are we about to watch the birth of a defense that can carry this city back to January football and beyond? Or will this be another dream that fades? In the cold wind off Lake Michigan,